My friend Charlie got killed yesterday, Charlie Kirk. And I say friend, it's sort of a loose use of the word friend. I mean, Charlie and I would hung out with Charlie probably 4 times, but it would be like at an event, at a Turning Point USA event. I'd see him and we'd got along so good. And then he was on our show, Timcast IRL with Vosh, and we did a debate. We did our Timcast IRL show at Turning Point with Charlie on stage. Um, and it was so more of an acquaintance, but the kind of guy where, like, when you meet somebody and you just, you really vibe, whether or not you hang out a lot with that person, you're like, this is the kind of person where if we were stuck in a room together for 10 days, we'd get along extremely well. That was Chuck, man. It's the kind of guy where, like, it didn't matter, one, if he didn't understand you, because he could see genius, just, and this is whoever, in other people. He could see intelligence in other people, whether or not he understood what they were saying or not. He could still tell that there was value. Like, some people, when they see other people talking like in a different language, they're not making any sense, those idiots. And, like, you realize, like, he was very aware of his own ignorance and his own ability to be ignorant, and that made him an exceptional conversationalist, Chuck. And I'm just kind of letting it out. I don't know. I didn't have any plans about this video, but I had a dream about Charlie last night. He got killed yesterday, If you probably know what I'm talking about. He got assassinated live at his event. I say live because it was televised. Took it in the neck, and afterwards I was like, I think the Catholic Church should canonize him. I don't know how that works. I'm not Catholic. I'm not even a Christian officially. I don't adhere to that faith. I believe in a lot of the morals, which is why Charlie and I got along so well. I messaged him a couple weeks ago about doing a debate, Christianity versus agnosticism, and I just thought, he's so busy, I haven't heard back from him yet. But, like, I'd look over at him, we'd be doing a show together, and I'd be saying the craziest shit. Like, I believe, you'll be talking about spirits and God and energy and vibrations, and I'd look at him and he'd just be like smiling at, like, yeah, keep going, even if he had no idea what I was saying, or like he knew that I was being honest. He could tell that I was being honest, and that was all he cared about, was that I was honestly, openly discussing my beliefs, and then I would listen to him and elevate him to a position of authority in that moment, so that I could, steel man his take on things. And I always liked him. I felt good that he was there on Earth. I think that, literally the Catholic Church canonizing him is kind of an extreme. It just crossed my mind last time. Like, when was the last time the Catholic Church canonized a guy and made a guy a saint? I don't know. But also, if they did that now, it'd be so divisive. It'd be drive people. So maybe in 20 or 30 years or something, or 10, 5 years, I don't know. But usually after society kills a great person out of some sort of bloodlust or anger, they realize it later, like Socrates, and then they build statues of him, and that's what they're going to do with Charlie. He was just a guy. Like, I met him when he was just this guy. I mean, he was always just a guy. I think because I was inside the machine, like, I would get invited to go speak at Turning Point events, and I never looked at him, at Charlie, as like this rising star or this super famous. I just knew him as like a good conversationalist, and really enjoyed his presence every time, man. I thanked him. The last thing I said to him, face to face, it was last December at Turning Point. It was at America Fest. After he got off the stage, I just saw him backstage, and I was like, thank you so much. And he was like, yeah, but it was vague. It was, what I was thanking him for was basically for everything he'd done as a human. It wasn't specific. I mean, I also, thanks for the event, and thanks for speaking up and being a leader for these young kids and humans that are confused and sad, especially during COVID, when people were just demoralized. And Charlie kept going, and I thanked him for that. And I thought later, like, that was kind of a weird thing to thank somebody for, because there wasn't. But I just have a lot of gratitude for him and what he did. And then that last night too, before we did Timcast IRL, I was like talking to everybody backstage before the show. on set before we went live and said he's kind of like, this is kind of like Martin Luther King. And it's also kind of a strange thing to say because I'm in it. And I just think about like Martin Luther King's Million Man March on Washington, D.C. and the power he had and influence of politically, even though he wasn't in politics. And Charlie, that's who he was. He could get 1 million people to mobilize. And like and then I start to get like, who would want that power out of the picture? I don't want to, I don't know. I mean, I'm definitely, my mind can go there. I'm like, who did this? Why? They found casings that says trans agenda shooter on the bullet casings. It sounds like they found the passport of the 9/11 hijacker on the ground. Like, I don't know what to believe. But I do know Charlie. I had a dream about him last night. I was saying I had a dream about, he was on we were hanging out at my parents' house. I wanted to dream about him. Sometimes I grieve in my sleep. I'll cry in my dreams. And we were just hanging out on a couch in my parents' living room, where the house that I grew up in. But it was where the big chair was. Now there was like this couch, and me and Charlie were on the couch talking. That was it. Just talking for a while. That good energy of like family, brothers. He reminds me of my brother, Mike. I gotta exercise. You know, I gotta do what's good for me too. I guess this is the first time I've really cried about it. We gotta carry the torch of what he wanted, which was open dialogue. But we gotta be smart too. You can't just parade around in public. They don't parade the president around in public and have his head up and out in the open. They learned that with John F. Kennedy, and Charlie's at these events with 10,000 people out in the open, and a guy from 200 yards away with a rifle. Apparently, I don't know what happened, but it's like out in the open. I mean, the last thing I want, well, something I don't want to see, excuse me, I'm sorry. Something I don't want to see happen is humanity devolving into hiding. Not Americans. But I understand the technique and the tactic. If you want to talk about politically divisive things in a time of intense political tension, you don't necessarily always want to be out in the open when you're doing it, you know, and this is another mild tangent. It's like the founding fathers. They didn't talk about revolting against the British government in open. They all did it in secret and lied about it and were very, very... But that's not what Charlie was doing. He was just talking to people, bridging gaps. I gotta wipe my face off. These salty tears, man. They'll oxidize and burn my skin if I don't do something about it. I had that dream about Charlie last night. We were hanging out on the couch, and the lamp was on in my parents' living room. It was like this golden yellow light. Reminds me of what it was like to be like 11 or 9 and hanging out with my brother or my friend in my parents' living room after like 9 o'clock, and maybe they went to bed and we were just up debating, talking about God and science and what it all meant, what was the point. And it's okay, we didn't all agree, but that was okay because we loved each other. It was a normal thing back then. It was very normal. It's very normal to disagree and do it and love each other in the process and come out better afterwards. I still remember some of the things my friends would say sitting at Taco Bell when we were 12 and the way they would say it and how it would change me. I got to blow my nose again. Ah. Ooh. Gosh, sorry for that pause, man. Ooh, it's rhetorically, it's an interesting time to be alive, isn't it? Always, they say, "May you live in interesting times." I think that's like a tongue-in-cheek, like you don't want to be living in interesting times. You want to be living in quiet, calm, peaceful times. But quiet, calm peace doesn't just happen on accident. You have to make it happen with political fervor and motion and movement and articulation and diligence, constantly patrol, protection. Then you can have calm, relaxed environments. But you need to work on it every day. And there are people that do that. There are people in the military that's their job, is to protect our environment so that we can live in calm, normal, rational times where you can turn your back on someone in public. Well, I think I'm going to leave the video just simple, because the whole point was just to tell you about what I remember about Charlie. I remember when we were doing that debate with Vosh, Charlie, Vosh, where they were basically, the two of them were debating. This was like 2 or 3 years ago, and me and Tim were there. And I didn't know either of them. I knew who Vosh was. I didn't know who Charlie was or anything. I never heard of Turning Point at that point. And they were talking, and I said something like they weren't. I should rewatch the video. It'd be funny to see. And they didn't understand. They were talking past each other about something. And I think I explained what was missing, or I said something crazy. Maybe it was that. I want to remember it like I was the hero, but maybe I said something crazy. And I looked over at Charlie, and he was just like smiling at me, so happy that I did it, that I stepped outside the comfort zone and let the world know what I was thinking. So let's keep doing that. Make a video, add your voice to the medley. Did I blow my nose with this one? I need one for my eyes. I gotta go wash my face. Okay, guys, or have you a nice day. Have a blessing. Enjoy the sun. If you got sunlight, get a fresh glass of water. A little exercise. And I think, I guess, now is the time to think, like, if you wonder what to do, because I kind of am like that right now, is like, what would Charlie have wanted us to do? He wouldn't have wanted his South Park episode taken down. He loved that thing. It was ridiculous. But I think he would just want it to keep going, the conversation. I mean, we got to be smart. We got to be smart. Meaning, like, you don't walk into a machine gun nest if you know the machine gun nest is there. And socially and culturally, you don't put yourself necessarily in extreme unnecessary risk. Don't put yourself in unnecessary risk, really. But if you find the risk necessary, put yourself there. Sometimes the only way to solve the problem is to take a risk. Or like the most direct, effective way to solve the problem. And okay, be good to yourself and everyone else, if you can. Be good to them too. Be good. Just put it out there. It's like a boomerang. It'll come back to you. Maybe not one-to-one direct, but it's good to put that energy out there and be kind. And I miss you, man. Oh, the media, the TV telling people this person's that, and this guy's a Nazi, and that guy's a bad guy, and watch out for him, and like, ooh, humans with this new technology, I say new, but it's like 100-year-old mass media, the way that we can create mass formation with this technology and get people's minds to change, and humans are these like susceptible animals, these suggestible creatures. We got to keep that in mind. That's important. We're not impervious. None of us are. We're all susceptible. Some more than others, and some days more than others. But I don't know, man. I didn't do this for some great motivating thing. I just wanted to, express what I was feeling and my thoughts about Charlie and his family. I don't know. I've never met Charlie's wife or kids or anything. Seen him around, I think. Okay. That's all for now. Bye.